everyone. It's time to eat, drink, and be merry with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy.
Hey, everybody. On today's Big Blend radio show, we are talking about craft wines. We're talking about small-lot wineries. It's very exciting. You know Linda Kissam, the food, wine, travel, shopping diva. And, you know, she's on our show all the time. We've got her articles over the years. I'm trying to think how many years now. It's been
a while.
It's been a while, over 10, 15 years. We're all getting younger by the second because we all drink wine.
But
right. Linda Kissam knows about quality. That's why she's a diva. And today she is bringing some amazing people on the show to talk about craft wine. And she really is about quality. Not only does she explore the country and the world, going out and searching the best wines, the best travel destinations, the best places to go shopping, because she really does like to shop, and that includes wine. But she's also the president of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. And we're very excited to have her back on the show. Every summer she's off drifting on a boat in, you know, the Pacific Northwest, and it's been a while since we've said hello to her. So welcome back, Diva Linda. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. Boating season is over, and we're back in Arizona. So looking forward to developing some more wine, food, and maybe some travel articles if we can get out and about. Well, this pandemic has really put a pinch in my plans, I'll tell you that. But, you know, there's always stuff to do, and this is one of them. And really interested, and I have been for a long time. I should tell people that when I started my own wine journey, the most I knew about was very low-end brand wines. My palate at that point was very sweet, and I loved Muscat Canelli, if that tells you anything. I thought that was like the best wine in the entire world, and then as I started to drink more and more wines and became the director of a wine region in Southern California, of course, my palate just really matured. And eventually you begin to understand that Muscat Canelli has its place as a sweet wine, but maybe your tastes go further. But I'll tell you this, at any gathering that I have at my house, people love sweet wines still yet. And as we used to say at meetings at the Wine Growers Association, people talk dry and buy sweet. So there's always a place for sweet wines, whether they're small craft wines or large mass wines. Blue Nun comes to mind, et cetera.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Ripple? Thunderbird?
That'll do you. Yeah, that'll do it. But anyway, when I was able to listen to a talk on small craft wines and the craft association, small craft association, I was just intrigued and thrilled, and think that everybody should know that there's life beyond just the mass-produced wines, and you know, take a little time and discover what a small lot wine, whether it be sweet, medium, or dry, has in store for you.
Diva Linda, you know, I think it's interesting. You know, you actually helped Nancy and I learn about wine tasting. We remember going up in the mountains in Julian and Temecula, and you got us,
yes.
You know. But I have to tell you, we've been to many, many, many more wineries now, and have each developed our palate. I know we're recording the show today, and it is actually International Tempranillo Day. Nancy, your favorite wine, right?
There you go. I love Tempranillo. Yeah, me
I know.
too. I did something about it.
But we've really learned a lot from you as we travel, and our palates have developed over the years, and we're very excited because we do have two winemakers on the show. We also have Carol. Carol Lawson is the founder of the Craft Wine Association on the show, and I encourage you to go to the website craftwine.org. And I want to tell you, everyone, Diva Linda has written an article about her craft wine adventures. You can see it right now on blendradioandtv.com. And we've also got William and Jennifer Layton joining us from Layton's Chance and they are out in Maryland. This is an incredible winery. We've been savoring their wines. Sweet, the nice dessert wine, we had that. And I have to tell you, it's 4 o'clock where we are. It's actually after 4, and we did open this wonderful bottle of the 2018 Vintners Reserve, which is lovely.
Yummy.
And this is the best, when you can actually have the wine and talk to the winemakers at the same time. So welcome, Carol. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you on the show. And welcome, William. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, listen, thank you for making such amazing wine. I just have to say. Making our day happy. Yeah, no, really, really, really amazing. And then also we've got Jennifer, your wife. Jennifer, she is the general manager of the winery over in Maryland. So, Jennifer, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much again for having us, too.
Oh, we are having...
We very much appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate you. We just wish, Nancy and I wish that when we were in Maryland, like a couple weeks, how many weeks?
A few weeks ago.
That I swear we drove by you. We were saying this before we started recording. I swear we drove by, and I'm like, no way. I wish we'd stopped in. We're coming to see you because I know we'll be back to Maryland, and I just want to. I know we want to chat with Carol and get into the whole craft wine, but William, Maryland is a very interesting state. We didn't expect to see the wetlands as much as we did. You've got the ocean on one side. It seems like you've got such a diversity of terrain. Is that what helps make such wonderful wines like you have?
Maryland is really interesting because the state has a little bit of everything. Where we are, where our winery is located, we have a lot of wetlands. We're really low. We're only 8 feet above sea level, and so we can grow a certain type of grape and do really good job with certain grapes. But you go to the other side of the Chesapeake Bay, and they've got mountains and grow much different grapes. So Maryland's got a really big diversity of the different grapes they can grow and different wines they make.
We're coming back, that's for sure. I mean, it was, and then at the same time, you have, we were just outside Gettysburg in Tawnytown. Am I saying it correctly? Tawnytown. Yeah. I mean, we've been all over your state, and we were actually just drove through the other day, and we're like, no, there's wine there. We need to stop. So it's really great to hear the diversity, but you're also doing a lot of agriculture out there. I know that you're involved with soy farming too, soybean farming.
Yeah, we started as a grain farm and needed to diversify our farm. The grapes are really what brought us into wine. We wanted a crop that we could do a good job with. The University of Maryland got a grape researcher back just after 2000 who really helped figure out what grapes are going to grow best for us and what areas they're going to do, how to take care of them. And that really helped us in a lot of wineries get started and really start to grow great grapes and be able to make great wines.
That's very cool. Very, very cool. So, Carol, I want to swing back to you because this whole craft wine association, I think it's amazing that there's an association. What led you to start the association and get into the world of craft wines?
Well, my background is in emerging technologies. I worked in the Silicon Valley and in California and did a bunch of things in the emerging markets and retired. Promptly funked retirement and found myself in culinary school. Drew toward the wine program and became a certified sommelier. And so now I have my shiny new certified sommelier level 2 and started pouring for some friends of mine who had a winery in Oregon. And this winery, the wines are amazing. I mean, they're some of the best I've had, and I've traveled around the world and tasted wines from all over the EU, as places as far away as Moldova, and these were just spectacular wines, but they were having such a hard time getting to market. And at that moment, it occurred to me that my background in emerging markets could help develop a market for craft wine. And this is small production, handmade, non-corporate wines. That it's very difficult to get a voice in the marketplace for those types of wines.
You know what? I just want to bow down because to what you're doing, because I think it's something, I wish you'd be in all other industries too. I think it's very hard to be an independent business now, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I know when Nancy and I came back from South Africa to this country in the late 90s, and we started, mid-90s, and we started our business in 97, our magazine, back in the print days, pre-Google and all of that. You know, America's backbone was a small business, and it's shifted so much. And it's just, we've been saying this over the last few years, Nancy and I, even as we've traveled the country, we're doing a lot with parks and public lands, but now we're starting this whole new thing called the American Story Project, which is about entrepreneurs, whether it's bed and breakfast owners, winemakers, cheese makers, you know, farmers. This is, you know, the backbone of America, and I think what you are doing is so crucial, because winemaking is expensive, it's hard work, and how do you rise to the top of, you know, if someone wants to buy wine, how do you get there? It's the same as a musician. If you don't have so many followers on Facebook and so many record sales, you don't get the record label. Even the independent record labels won't look at you. So I think what you're doing is crucial. Really.
Well, and thank you for that. And I'm glad you mentioned musicians, because one of the things I did early in my career was I worked in recording studios. I was an engineer in a recording studio. And these jazz musicians would come in, and they would have outside jobs, and they would, everything that they had, they would pour into recording their music and playing their music. And I didn't see that kind of fervor again until I met these winemakers, where it was not something they did because they just, I don't know, on a whim decided to, but it was something that in some ways they had to do. It was such a part of them that this was something they really had to pursue. So that was part of what connected me to this too. I don't have that artistic skill that it takes to make that wine. I'm much more analytical, but I knew that I had this skill in the emerging markets, and that could help keep this very precious thing that we have across the country alive, which is craft wine.
But that is an artistic skill right there.
I think so.
No, it is. I mean, everybody has their little niche, you know, of what they want to do and should be doing, and so many people never get to do what they're meant to do. And, you know, this is like somebody starts with a great product, and when it goes corporate, then, you know, the bottom dollar is the thing that counts more than the quality. And that's where you lose out on that dream. So I applaud small business people, wineries, restaurants, whatever, who can keep it their own, within their own passion, because it's not easy.
Exactly. I also want to go to Diva Linda here. Diva Linda, I know you've traveled the world, you know, tasting wine and shopping and everything, you know. And it's been interesting over the years watching your journey as a travel writer and wine writer. You used to do a lot of luxury, and then I've seen you go into, no, you know what, I'm more interested in the small independent story. Watching your journey has been cool for Nancy and I, and having traveled with you, it's been awesome. Because she does teach you about, like, this wine is too chilled, you need to warm it up, you need to do this, you know, to make it, you know, work. What led you to say, hey, I want to do a story in the craft wines?
Well, when I was the director of a wine region, it was a very small wine region, one of the things that I noticed was, and it's things you don't really think about as a wine drinker, but as a business person, it becomes quite clear that the wineries, the small craft wineries, tend to sell more wine out of their tasting room than they do on the mass market. There just isn't shelf space for them. The cost to do the business part of it. So let's say that you have 5,000 cases of something, and you would like everybody in your area and beyond to be able to taste it. It would just seem, oh, how hard could it be to get into a supermarket or a restaurant or even an event to get people to understand your wines? And oh my gosh, what a struggle. First, you have to hire somebody that you weren't expecting to hire. Then you have to have generally a refrigerated truck or a some kind of truck that you can transport this stuff, then you have to worry about returns, and it just goes on and on. So the really great wines. So once you start tasting small craft wines, which I was able to do for about 8-9 years, you begin to see that there's not only are the wines better in many cases, they have a better story behind them. So I haven't done that job in probably 10 years, and when we had a seminar on craft wines, it just brought up all these great memories, and I thought, we need to, there wasn't a Small Craft Wines Association when I was director, and, it would have been really, really helpful, I think, I think there were 23 wineries at that time. There's over 45, I think, now, but to have had this association that cares deeply about promoting and getting the word out about small crafts. They're also called allocated wines. So if you're lucky enough to have some champions out there in the restaurants or the tasting bars and so forth that love you, if you only have a very small amount of wine, you can't be giving them all that wine. It becomes allocated wine, and then so maybe tasting bar one gets 1 case or 2 cases, and restaurant 2 gets 2 cases, and so forth. And that's just a lot. It's a lot of hard work. I'm wondering, at Leighton's Chance, do you know what the ratio is between how much wine you sell at your tasting room compared to what you sell outside of your tasting room? Do you know what the ratio is?
Well, I will tell you, obviously, this year it's changed.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. But in the past...
it's about 30%.
In the past, yeah. 30% through distribution, about 70% through our tasting room.
And I think that falls right along, if not even more than what I used to see in Temecula. And it's always, I don't know, at first I thought, well, how could that be? These are such great wines. Wouldn't every restaurant, tasting room, supermarket want to give shelf space? But you soon learn that unless it's high-volume wine that can be sold at a very small price, because the margins on a lot of these other businesses, these outside businesses, are very small too. I know sometimes it's just easier to say, I give up. We're doing well in our tasting room, but it's very sad that the rest of the U.S. doesn't get to experience what you have to offer, especially in your case where you use some lesser-known grapes. You have Norton and some other ones. You obviously have Top Francs and all those as well. But what are your main grapes that you use, that you are utilizing for your bottlings?
Our main grapes are Chambourcin, Vidal, Cab Franc, and Norton.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of those won't be familiar to those listening, but they all have, and that's the fun part of wine tasting. That's the funnest part of finding craft wines. And gosh, this association has a great website where you can find all these where the Certified Craft Wine Association members are near you. And you can even buy the wine via online. Now, not every city, not every state allows wine to be imported, because the state government makes it so darn hard. I once took a class in compliance, because all I heard complaints about compliance. And I thought, how hard can it be? It's a few rules.
Yeah.
It's huge, and it changes like every 5 seconds. That's why they give you a spiral bound. At that time, I'm sure it's all now on computer. But oh my Lord, State A won't let you come in unless you pay this, and State B doesn't want you at all, and State C is a combination. So just the paperwork alone, I think, in some respects, for these small craft, small lot wineries, is overwhelming. I mean, maybe you do it with grace and focus, but I'll tell you what, one class in compliance on how to ship wine, and I said, well, that probably isn't the job for me. I'll stick with what I'm doing.
I do want to bring our next guest on, who is Bill Schinkel, owner of Tranquil-Heart-Vineyards-Winery over in Southern California. Bill, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm fine. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. So are you in Temecula?
No, I'm in a little town called Hemet, which is basically due north of Temecula by maybe 15 or 20 miles by the way the crow flies.
Hey, your area is like you're allowed to have adobe houses in your area, as I recall. You're one of the first.
Yeah, we are definitely a completely different climate than Temecula is. Where Fallbrook is different than Temecula, and then we're just as different as Fallbrook is to Temecula as we are to Temecula. We can get up to 115 degrees this year for maybe 14 days.
Wow, and it's so amazing what's going on in your region, Hemet, Fallbrook, Temecula, then Julian, Ramona, Pala, even Pala making wine, all in that area. It's interesting how San Diego has got this major brew scene, and then at the same time, the wineries are like, stand back, man, we're coming in. Like in Southern California wineries.
There's a whole lot of them down in San Diego County now, just as well as Temecula, but I'm the only one in Hemet.
Oh, really? Wow. You go. Right on.
Well,
that is so.
Well, and then when we started, everybody told me, no way, you'll never do it. But we've definitely proved them wrong with some top quality wines.
I have to ask, do you still have a stripper museum? You remember that? You know what I'm talking about? The stripper museum?
No, I don't know.
It's actually a burlesque. It's about the burlesque. It's actually burlesque, but half the people would say stripper. It was a burlesque museum way back when. I would say about 15 years ago. I don't know if it's still open, but anyway, it has nothing to do with wine. But
there's a tea room in town where I think they do some shows. So maybe that's it. I've never been in it though.
No, I just had to bring that up because it's like I haven't talked to someone from Hemet for years. So I'm really glad you're on the show. Diva Linda, you got to taste some of the wines, from Bill over at Tranquil-Heart.
Yeah, and as did many of my fellow wine writers. And like it says, they're sort of Mediterranean-type wines. Again, we have one that's a little sweeter than the other, but it was his rosé is really truly excellent, and his wild red reserve also. Small lots, 38 cases. Who knew? And I don't know. I would like both of the wineries present to sort of give us a short overview of their taste profile. When we taste your wines, Bill, let's start with Bill. What can we expect from your wines? Fruit forward, high sugars, low sugars. I think you make a variety of wines, but in general, if I was going to tell somebody what type of wines you produce, what would you say?
It ranges depending on reds versus whites. On my reds, we're all on the dry side. We have Barbera, which is extremely fruit forward. A little oak, we put quite a bit of oak in it, and most of my barrels now, we did an analysis the other day on how long that we keep most of our wines in the barrels, and it's a minimum of 28 months. Wow. So there is some oakiness to the Barbera, but yet there's still a lot of fruit forwardness. Because we're in Hemet and we have these extreme temperatures, we grow only the varieties that are basically, like somebody said, Mediterranean. And our alcohol levels are a little bit higher than most wines because our sugar levels are a little bit higher when we harvest because of temperature. And then our Torólogo is extremely bold. It's almost a black ink in color. And once again, dry. But it flat screams for prime rib or some sort of red meat. The Ionico I consider spicy wine. It's a little lighter, but the flavor on it is incredible. It just has a lot of spicy notes, a lot of peppery, tobacco.
Nancy, it sounds like your style.
And then we made a blend of all three of those where we basically took a 50, 30, 20% of Barbera, Torólogo, and Ionico. And, when I started making wines, I always thought blends were something that you weren't proud of. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but, blends were an afterthought. Well, this blend becomes our number one seller. Everybody loves it. It hits everybody's palate just right. And it doesn't matter what you like or prefer when you drink the blend, it's just spot on. So it's got a combination of everything. Okay. And then the whites. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's right. Go ahead and whites. The whites.
The whites. I have three varieties, and I'll start with the Muscat Canale, which everybody considers Moscato. We don't name it Moscato, but we keep it by its original name, varietal. And the first year I made it, it was 0.275 RS, which is residual sugar. Oh. So it's not real sweet. It's actually extremely refreshing. Mm-hmm. Much not as sweet as most Moscatos when you first drink them. And then the second year, I asked my winemaker, who is out of Guadalupe Valley in Mexico, and we think alike. We have the same mindset as far as the growing of organic grapes, no pesticides, no Roundup, as little sulfites as possible. Matter of fact, we don't really think we add any sulfites. It's just what's naturally in the grapes. But there is he speaks English, but still sometimes we have a little difference in the way we say things. So I told him I wanted the Moscato 0.25 less RS for the next year, and he heard 0.75. So the next year, it's almost like a dry Moscato, just a hint of sweetness. And at first I thought, oh, man, that's not what I wanted and everything. But once people started drinking it, they just absolutely love it. And then we would kind of add some things to it, like a blood orange, or what do you call it? A blood orange, there's a brand out there. Think of the name, but and we make a mimosa out of it, and it just turns it incredible. So it has the flavors, just a hint of sweetness, and then my all-time favorite white that I grow is Fiano, and it's once again it's dry, but you think it's sweet because it has so much fruitiness to it. But when you do an analysis on it, it is completely dry, but you can't even tell.
Now, what is the price range of your wine that you're currently selling, from low to high?
Low to high, my whites are $28. Mm-hmm. I think Viognier is $34, and the Bianca Barbera, which is a rosé, is $34. And then my reds range from $68 up to $93.
Okay, so that might surprise some people and wonder why the price point is so high. But in my experience, these are small lot wines. You're not making 500,000 cases of something. They're
absolutely not.
And it just it's money to make these small lot wines, and people who come to your winery and taste your wines should just suck it up and give it a try and appreciate the fact that somebody's doing something beyond mediocre. I'd like to switch over to Leighton's Chance. Would you please give us sort of a taste profile of your wines in general, please?
Sure. So we try and do an equal amount of sweet and dry wines. As you said at the beginning of the program, people tend to talk dry but buy sweet. So certainly as the winemaker, I love the dry wines and to make really nice reserve wines, but people want to buy sweet wines. So we try and have an equal number of each. Overall, we make very light, fruit-forward wines. I don't put anything in a barrel at all. Everything's done stainless steel. A couple of the reserves we do use oak chips on to give it a little more body and a little more flavor. Our reds. Chambourcin is really our best red grape, and it's kind of a lighter grape. It's very similar to Pinot Noir for those who aren't familiar with Chambourcin. I like that. It's a very versatile grape. I make varietals. We make our red blend with it. We make both our rosés with it. And even a semi-sweet wine with it blended with Catawba. So it's real versatile for us. But we try and keep the wines on the lighter side, and we like local flavors, so we do several fruit wines. Strawberry and watermelon are grown are grown a lot in this area, so it's very easy to get plenty of that fruit to make a fruit wine from. We bring in 2,500 pounds of strawberries to make our strawberry wine, and over 600 watermelons to make our watermelon wine. Wow.
Because right now, Nancy and I are enjoying the Vintners Reserve, the 2018, and it's amazing because it's a full wine. It's like, hello, I'm here, but it's light. Like you're saying with the Pinot Noir, it's almost like that, but it's not. It's a blend, right? And that's got the Chambourcin grapes with this. This is so... Yeah. I think even for Thanksgiving, people could be enjoying this with their turkey. It's that light, even though it's full. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
It is. It's a full wine, but none of ours are real heavy. Like I said, I'm not real big on heavy
We're not
oaking
chewing
wines.
It. We're not chewing it.
Not chewing it. Like our normal red blend, our farm red, doesn't have any oak on it, and that seems to me kind of unusual. Most reds spend some time on oak, but I like it that way. I think it's fruitier, it's a little lighter, but it's just such a nice, easy wine to drink and enjoy. So, and to me, it's one of the great things about small wineries and craft wineries is that we all have our different flavors. I mean, I like the lighter stainless steel wines. Other wineries have the heavier wines. Other wineries do different grapes, but we each just kind of have our own flavor.
I wanted to ask Jennifer, she's a general manager. She's running the tasting room and everything. What's the experience like in the tasting room? I mean, do you have people come in there? I mean, what's that like? Because I think it's such an interesting thing how the wine industry has changed over the years, and it's very hard for craft wineries to now welcome people into their tasting room, or maybe that's the important thing for you. What's that like in your experience? Because we want to come and experience it, both of your tasting rooms. Yeah. I mean, what's that like for folks and being able to satisfy and educate without – that's the thing. I think like 10, 15 years ago it was almost snobby. The wine industry was almost so snobby that the younger generation kind of didn't know where to go with it. And now I've seen that it's changed drastically, actually.
When you say snobby, that was the one thing when we were building this we decided we didn't want to have. We wanted to make wine accessible for people and that we're not trying to intimidate them. And we knew we picked grapes that were not known to people. So when we started this, we knew there was going to be a fair amount of customer education because a Merlot will never ripen here. We just grow bad Merlot. So we can't do that. We're farmers. We grew grapes that we knew would grow well here and make a better wine. But we knew our staff would have to, us and our staff, be able to educate people on what that means. And you know what? If you like sweet wines, more than 50% of America does.
Yeah.
We're not putting you down because you like sweet wines. We have something for you. We built it that way from the beginning because, it's not our place to tell somebody what they should like. Is how it's always felt.
Well, it shouldn't be. It's like art. That's what I love, that even the association is craft wines, because it is a craft wine association. It means it's a craft. It's an art. And everybody has a different opinion of what art is. We can all listen to the same song, right, Carol? And we're all going to have a different opinion or meaning or sentiment to that song. And that's the same with wine. And so do you find, Carol, with what you're doing with the association, that there is an education component to, not like stuffing down this grape, that grape, but there's a balance between it to get folks to kind of understand and to go on a learning adventure. I look at wine tasting as a safari. It's like, hey, man, everybody's a little different. Let's go in and see what we like, and you grow from there. And Linda, you highlighted that really well in your article about hey, there's just, the more you taste, the better you get at it and the more you enjoy,
And that would be true. That's and I liken this to, I want everybody to think about when you are young and maybe on your way to school or wherever, you stop at a supermarket and you buy the least expensive candy available, right? Smarties, Hershey chocolate, and so forth. And that makes your palate sing. You're quite happy with that. But as you grow, if you eat enough of these products, you soon begin to say, there's got to be more than this waxy feel or this high sugar content, and you move on to C's, Godiva, or Clutter. And, that's just your palate progressing. It's just maturing. It is just what happens. It does not mean that you can't enjoy the other wines that you were sort of growing up with or started at. It just means that you're ready for more, and it's quite exciting. You know what is interesting about these two wineries that we have, changing subjects, the two wineries that we have on today, is that both take a very different approach to their tasting rooms. Bill, can you tell us a little bit about Tranquil-Heart, how you sell your wines, and the fact that yours is not a public tasting room, and why you decided to do that?
Well, we are a private membership at this point, mainly because the county has a long list of requirements that have more money than I have, to be honest. So one of the ways that I set it up, and I'm doing this out of pocket, and I have since day one, we set it up as private membership, so you have to be a member to be able to come into the properties, and that takes care of the requirements of the county. Most of our sales are through our wine club and direct to consumer, and then we also have what we call the Founders Club, which is our members. So I was listening to the other winery there, and I'm really intrigued by their fruit, strawberry in their wines and things like that. I would love to do that. I'd love to maybe swap some bottles with them. Sounds really interesting. All mine are extremely bold and strong. We use, when he said he only put them in stainless tanks, I just bought another 42 French barrels. I only use French barrels. And that price tag's $50,000, and my eyes kind of perked up. But definitely two different types of wines, and I'm intrigued with theirs, and hopefully others will be intrigued with our type. So currently we don't have a tasting room open, so COVID didn't kill us by shutting down because we weren't open. but everybody just orders it and we ship it out. That's how we do it.
Okay, so I think in my experience you will find less private member only than you will open to the tasting community. But I think there's something sort of intriguing about being part of a member-only tasting sort of winery. It's very intriguing. I've been members of several of those, and you feel so special. And generally, you get a very nice discount on the wines compared to what they might be selling them to non-members. So I think and especially having been worked in that area, I know that particular county has quite a few restrictions, some that you just shake your head at and some you can understand. So, good for you for being able to figure it out, because some people just go through this, I thought it was going to be fun, but you're not making it fun. You're making my life miserable. And of course the fees and the assessments and if they find a skeleton of any sort on your property and this, that, and the other thing is just prohibitive. Now let's tell us a little bit about their tasting room, and but I guess there's a chance. Do you have a wine club and member only events?
I'm sorry, you got muffled there. I couldn't hear the question.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a muffling going on, and there's it sounds like almost like someone's driving or something.
No, I'm here. I said, Layton's Chance explained that they're open to the public, but I bet that they have a wine club and members-only events. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. We are open to the public, and it is a very different landscape in Maryland than it is where Bill is. So for us, we've been open to the public, but we do have a wine club, and luckily we have an absolutely fabulous relationship with our wine club, and even through COVID, we haven't seen a downturn in cancellations or
great.
We're maintaining our members. There may be a few that are canceling, but there is more joining. So we've been very lucky. We consider them our family, but I have always loved the idea that people did founder members. I wish I would have thought of that when we were starting. But it's great to be open to the public, but we have a huge picnic area. We've had pretty great weather this summer, so social distancing and areas for people to enjoy it, and we've changed our tastings to how you can take them outside. William and I have created videos so that he can go through the wines with you.
Oh,
even
that's
though
so awesome.
We can't, give that experience like we used to inside the tasting room. You can get your flight and go outside, and you can watch the video and he'll go through the wines with you. So
that's
been
awesome.
That's very awesome. Different. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I've heard about that lately. So I think that's pretty good. I'd like to move back to Carol. Carol, the holidays are coming, and for those people who've been listening and are thinking maybe a really good house present, hostess gift, or a Christmas gift for one of these craft wineries, you've made it very easy. I've been on the site. Can you tell us? I think it's called Next
Crush. Yeah, it's Next Crush. Yeah, Next Crush without the E, so nxtcrush.com. This is a collection of craft wineries. They're all certified craft wineries. They're all members. This actually was provided by our sponsor, Vino Shipper. Vino Shipper is a compliance group that manages the compliance in the shopping carts and that sort of thing for a number of wineries. And so what they did for us was any winery who is a Vino Shipper participant that also is a member is on NextCrush. They created a single shopping cart, so I can go in, or you can go in, or anyone can go in and buy wine from around the country, and provided the state that you live in allows it to be shipped in, it can be shipped from multiple wineries to you. The other thing that's important about NextCrush from a winery perspective is because we're using the Vino Shipper back end, the same one that the wineries use, it doesn't cost them any more for a bottle of wine to be sold on NextCrush as it does for that same bottle of wine to be sold on their website.
Ooh,
so the winery gets
awesome.
exactly the same amount of money. The association doesn't add $1 or any of that sort of thing. This is part of our mission to make craft wine available across the country. We're very proud of it.
Awesome.
I think of all.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think of all the things that you could have done for your members, this might be really, really important. The ease of getting small craft wines, small lot wines, craft wines, small lot wines, allocated wines, all sort of the same meaning, in one place, I think it's just amazing. I mean, you can order anything from your members, and it can be shipped directly if your state allows it. I just think that's brilliant, and I think that's well worth whatever member fees you're charging your winery members. I'm really pleased about that. I wish I'd thought about that. That's a really when I was
she's
director.
a shopping diva.
Yeah, I really like that idea. That's really quite brilliant.
And we're pretty excited because we're just about to start promoting that website for the holidays that are coming up. So we found last year when we did this, it brought a lot of new people into these craft wineries themselves. What we really want is for someone to go to NextCrush, try something they've never tried before, fall in love with it, and then end up on the winery's membership program or become a member whatever the winery has got to offer, but to fall in love with these individual wineries. It's really not about falling in love with us as an organization. For us, what we really, really want to showcase is these wineries across the country and how different they are and how connected they are to their community. It's just, to me, a wonderful thing.
Well, I wanted to ask about that because Nancy and I travel the country, and I know we kind of touched on this before the show, before we recorded, is the members, getting members on board who can join, because we're finding all kinds of small lot wineries as we travel, and I'd love to see them all on NextCrush and be able to ship their wines and have people get this because there's phenomenal wines across this country. There's a winery in every state, and as you were saying before we recorded, there's a winery out of every metropolitan area, right, that's accessible. But, how do people find out about it? Articles and interviews and all that's great, but we want to find a portal. And a lot of wineries don't have a way for people to buy online, like what you're doing. So who can join?
So first of all, it's very important that it's not a corporate winery. So we started out by saying if it's this number of cases, you can join, and then we got approached by some really big players that said, well, we have this label that is this many cases, and so we want to join. And we had to say no, because to us that's not craft wine. Craft wine is small production, family-owned, non-corporate. Generally speaking, families own the vineyards and wineries. That's not always the case. We have some wineries that buy grapes from other folks. If that's the case, we want the fruit to be identified from identifiable sources. So not just bulk wines from California. You need to know the vineyard that it came from and how it was grown. The wine has to be made by an actual winemaker, so not a strictly technology or industrial process. There needs to be that human interaction, and that's where you get that intersection of art and science, which is craft. Usually, when I'm talking about when someone says, well, how many cases? What I talk about is the first break for the economies of scale. As you're getting larger, things get less expensive. And the first break really comes around 5,000 cases. So we do have some wineries that are over 5,000 cases, but under 5,000 is where our target is. Most of our wineries are actually under 2. Some of them are just a few hundred.
Wow.
So case
That's
count
amazing.
really isn't the determining factor, but it's the personally owned, the interaction with a real winemaker, something that's wine that comes from heart and soul, and that they can identify where the fruit comes from.
Wow.
And
this is incredible because, like when it's small lot like this, that there's only a few bottles of it, and then you taste this most amazing wine, and then it goes away.
Right.
This is like this. You have this experience, and what I love what you're doing in the wineries, and both wineries on the show today, Layton's Chance and also Tranquil-Heart-Vineyards-Winery, you're creating an experience, not a product. You're creating an experience. And that is so important to our life. As we go through, this year has been a crazy time, right? And it's going to continue being a little crazy. But at the same time, this is something we can enjoy at home if we can't travel. We can enjoy and have an experience. We need experiences to be alive and not survive, but thrive. And so I think what all of you are doing is so important. It really is. So here's to wine. And I mean good wine.
Absolutely. And if I can tell a little bit of a story, we're using the phrase on our website now, distinctly American wine. And to me, that's what craft wine is, because it's reflective of every place that we go, every community we go to. We go to the wineries, we taste the wines, we meet the people, and it's really integrated in the identity of where those communities are and who those communities are. The first time that phrase was used, it just came out spontaneously when I was out at Layton's Chance. It was, I think February last year. Layton's Chance was celebrating being the first certified craft winery in Maryland.
Oh, awesome.
And
you guys go.
Yeah, it's amazing. And being out there and walking the grounds, and you see these vineyards, but you can also picture that there were other crops there at other times. There's the barn in the background. It's classic Americana, but it's vineyards and not soy or wheat or other things that you might expect. And so as we were toasting, William and Jen, I called it distinctly American wine, and that was an aha moment for me, that craft wine really isn't
Americana,
trying to be European, and it isn't trying to be the same across the country. It's that distinctly American. It can't be. It can't. The same way, and I think about
even if you're using Barbera or a Tempranillo or anything from Italy or France, the roots can come here and can be grown, but it's still going to take on the climate and the craft of someone's hands and the process. It's impossible for it to be another country's wine. It's like, France has Champagne and Burgundy. America has American wines, and they're damn good. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They're really good, and they've really grown and become something amazing over the years. And we should really strive to include that as part of, like, farm stays, agricultural tourism, all of that. It's part of the makeup of the land. And it is sharing land with, whether it's other wineries or soy or, the other day we were, it's in between cattle where we were in East Tennessee. There were, it's interesting where you can get wine and where it grows, like where the grapes grow. You wouldn't think, but they do. They do. They do. Thank God.
Well, and there's a quote from one of our winemakers that he's up in the Humboldt area, completely off the grid. So not only is his home off the grid, his winery's off the grid. His background is as a mathematical scientist. But they said he found his art in making wine. And so he says that he's a scientist by training, but with wine, he tries to paint the picture of the vineyard season over season. Because it will never be the same year over year. The life of the vineyard is different year over year. And
Absolutely
it's that connection with, and it's wonderful. I mean, that connection with the art and the science, the experimenting, this thing that comes out of the heart and the soul of the winemaker, to me is amazing.
It's the land. You're speaking with the land, and you've got to also be part of the community to make it work. So it's this whole living force. So really, you guys, William, Bill, and Jen, you rock. And Carol, you rock for what you're doing and putting everyone on the platform. And thank you, Diva Linda, for bringing all of this to our attention. We just really enjoy wine as we're traveling, and it's really exciting what is happening in the world of wine right now. So, again, everyone, go to craftwine.org, and then, Carol, give everybody its next crush. It's nxtcrush.com, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, go check it out. And then also for Layton's Chance Winery in Maryland, we're coming back. We're coming out there, and we're coming back to Southern California, Bill. So, we're going to knock on your door. But everyone, Layton's Chance Winery in Maryland, their website is laytonschance.com. Have I got that right, Jen?
That's correct.
Yes, you do.
Okay, good. Thank you both for joining us, William and Jennifer, over at Layton's Chance. And thank you, Bill, for joining us over at Tranquil-Heart-Vineyard and Winery. And you can go to, what's the website? Tranquil-Heart-Vineyard.com, right?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. We're also on Facebook, so you can. We're also on Facebook, so you can look and see all our pictures, and we like to post every season of the pictures, and then we actually make videos and try to teach everybody what we're doing, and that's all under the videos in the Facebook page. So I appreciate it if you guys go and look, and we're proud of what we do, so we like to share it.
Awesome. Everyone, social media, you can keep up with most wineries on there. Layton's Chance Winery. William, are you guys there too on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that?
Yeah, we're on Facebook. I think we do some Twitter and Instagram. We're not as good as those, but we do really well with Facebook.
Okay, cool. And Carol, for you guys over at Craft Wine, you guys are on social media too.
Oh, absolutely. And we try to, whenever possible, do special posts from our members. So if you want to learn about what's going on in craft wine, there you go.
Awesome. And Diva Linda, you can keep up with Diva Linda's adventures. Go to allingoodtaste.info. She does have good taste. You can hear it. Today's show, and also her article again is up on blendradioandtv.com, and also keep up with ifwtwa.org. She's the president of the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association. Really, they do a good job in keeping wineries in the forefront, travel destinations, and wine and travel go hand in hand. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to close with Diva Linda's Bossa Nova. Thanks for joining us. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.